Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. This is another video that I'm going to do for you that's related to comic books. Now, if you don't like comic books, still stick around, because what I'm going to tell you will also apply to other things that you can put inside a comic book bag and board, which is the theme of tonight's video. So that would apply to things such as magazines and maps and posters and small books and those sorts of things. So still stick around even if you don't collect comics or plan on reselling them. Now, the other night I did a video for you on comic books from different eras, and I went over the different bags and boards that you could use to protect the comics from those different eras, and also how to protect comic books that are of different sizes. So, for example, we went over treasury-size comic books and magazine-size comic books and those sorts of things. But what I didn't really focus with you on technique, and the main reason I want to go over this with you is I really want to help prevent people from damaging their comic books when they try to remove them when there's tape on the bag and the board. Now, the very basics, just to go over once again, this is your comic book board. Okay? Main focus, main purpose is to keep the comic book straight when you are storing it so that it doesn't bend. This is your comic book bag. Main purpose here is to prevent it from getting damaged, and also it helps to display the comic book nicely. So this will protect it from the elements, but also give it a nice shine to it to to make it look nice when a person is just taking the book out and looking at it and displaying it too. Now, very basics is, it might seem simple, and you might say, why the heck are you even doing a video about this? But I'm going to show you in a few minutes in terms of how something that seems so simple can actually be complicated. Now, we got our bag and our board, and what we're going to do is, you see here there's a little flap, and the flap goes over to the other side, is that we're going to just take the comic book board right there, and we're going to put it inside the bag, and then this flap is what I'm talking about, will go over. We would take the comic book, like here I just have a random one, the store issue, and we'll just take it and we'll slide it over the front part like this, and just put it in. Then we have our flap here, and a flap will go over like this. Now, if you left it like this and you didn't put any tape on it, what's going to happen is that, one, you've got more air exposure, so air could get into here, and over time that could cause some environmental damage to the comic book. The other thing is that if you have a whole box of these and you don't have this taped down, what's going to happen is it's very, very difficult to sort through them, because these are going to go up in the air, and you're going to have all these flaps that make it very, very frustrating to go through a box of hundreds of comic books. So you want to have it down in some way. Now, the easiest approach, but most people don't do this because these types of comic book bags and boards are more expensive, is you get resealable bags and boards. I talked about this a little the other night with the treasury bags and boards, but I did tell you they have them for other size comic book bags, and this would just be a Silver Age comic book bag. And what happens is, you can hear it, I'll just be quiet for a second as I pull this flap up. Okay, there's a little strip of glue right here. I don't know how well you can see it, but you could see it right there. And so whenever you want to just stick it back down, you just press it, it sticks it. And the advantage of this, one, it's easy to just seal it. You don't have to use any tape also. And by not using any tape, when you pull it out, no problem. There's no possible way it's going to get damaged. Well, let's take the one that we just did here. Okay. Now, the flap is not down. What I would suggest in terms of getting the flap to just stay down is just going to take one piece of tape, and you're just going to go right over the middle like this. Let me just show you. It's right here. Make sure you cover the seam, and then you're all set. Right there in the middle. That's it. That's all you have to do. How does this get complicated? Well, when you buy comic book collections, you'll see all sorts of weird things that people will do. Some people will put a piece of tape here, a piece of tape here, a piece of tape here. Some people will make these long pieces of tape that go down about half the size of the comic book. Some people will get masking tape and put strips of it all the way across. Or some people will get 2-inch pieces of tape or 3-inch pieces of tape and line that all the way across. Sometimes people will do something like this, which, here you go, there's another Thor comic, right? This actually literally comes from a collection that I have behind me. Look at what they did. They put the bag and the board so that it opens from the bottom, which I suggest not to do, because if you open it like this, what can happen is that this could unexpectedly slip out, fall down to the ground, and get damaged. So you don't want that. And you also see here 2 pieces of tape, and these 2 pieces of tape, you can see what happens by using cheap tape like this. It makes it a little bit difficult to get out. You see how it's really stuck on here. So what's going to happen when I open it is it's going to pull on the, look at this. It's impossible to get this off. It's just so stuck. And now, as you're pulling it like this, you can wind up damaging the comic book. So you see this here. Look at this. If I keep pulling, okay, look at that. I've already damaged the bag and the board. Now, I haven't damaged the comic book because I was careful, but that could easily happen. And so resealing this and putting it on, you see now it's going to have this part that's stuck up, that's damaged. You're not going to want to put it like this back in the box. So this is what I mean. Something that looks like it's so straightforward and simple could actually wind up, people make it more complicated than it needs to be. Now, the reason why, if you're going to use tape, that I would suggest using this approach is because, let me show you how so many comic books wind up getting damaged. And this even happens to ones that are very valuable. People will put them in a bag and a board like this with tape, and what happens is this. And this could happen if you're out in the field or you're at a comic book shop and you're looking at a comic. And the thing is, you're going to want to take it out and look inside of it, because while a comic book may look really nice right here on the front, I cannot tell you how many times I have taken a comic book out of the bag and the board like this, okay, and I've looked at it, and in the back of the comic book is all damaged. There's a rip on it. Someone wrote something on it. Or inside of the comic book, there's all sorts of creases and stains and water damage and things like that. So it could look really great on the front, but you got to take a look at it inside to see what it looks like. So what a lot of people will do in this situation, okay, here's how the book gets damaged. You have the comic book bag and the board. You've opened up the flap. You take the comic book out, and as you are taking it out, you see what happens here? This piece of tape is now going to lean forwards, and it could catch on the book like this. See that? Now it's caught onto the book. And depending on how sticky the tape is and the quality of the comic book and exactly where it lands, when you then try to remove this off of here, now I did it in such a way that it wouldn't damage it, but it easily happens. It catches right onto here. You then try to remove it, and now the tape has removed part of the coloring, and now you have a damaged comic. Or it will rip it. So now you have a ripped comic book as well. Now, if you had a comic book that was in near mint condition, and that was the basis of getting hundreds or thousands of dollars off of it, you just completely destroyed the value of your comic by making that silly mistake. So you want to make sure you avoid that. Plus, when you're looking at other people's collections, even if they're not books that are super valuable, maybe they're $5 comics, $6 comics, if you're going through those, you need to know how to be respectful of their collection so you don't damage. In the comic book industry, people will say, if you're looking at their books, don't tape me. What that means doesn't mean don't videotape me, don't tape me, don't catch my comic books on tape. So you need to know how to do it. So let's go over how to do it. Now, what some people will do is they will take the tape, if there's one piece or two pieces, and they will basically roll the tape back like this so it sticks to the front of the comic book, and then they could safely remove it like this. So now you don't have any tape because it's face down like that. Now, that's not a bad method. It's better than what I just showed you, but the problem with it is once in a while while you think you have that down, and as you're pulling this out, guess what happens? This sticky tape right here pops up, and now you've caught it on, let's say you had it up about this way here. So let me put this back down. It'll catch on like the middle of the comic. So we've got it up like, let's say halfway. We're taking it out. All of a sudden, this pops up, and boom, the tape is now sticking to the book. And now you try to take it off, and now you've got a rip, or you know, the color of the robot is now just gone, and you know, right here you got like a big white spot. Not good, not good. Very, very frustrating. So this may sound very simple once I tell you the solution, but this is what you have to do to make this work. Okay? You got the you take the tape off right here, just like this. Okay? Very simple. Pull off the piece of tape and either put it here, okay, or safest thing actually, take it like this, put it somewhere else. So just put it to the side, put it right here, and just have it hanging somewhere. Now you have literally no tape around whatsoever. This is the best way to do it. If you put it on the side, chances are you're going to be okay. But putting it right, like if you put it on the side of the bag on the board, chances are you'll be okay. But the safest 100% thing is just put it somewhere else for a second. Now you take your bag and your board, take the comic book out of it, and you're all set. There's no way it's going to get damaged from any type of tape. When you're done looking at it, check out the back of it, you know, flip around, look inside, see if everything's okay with the comic, put it back in the bag and the board like this. There we go. Put it right in there. Put the flap down, and now I just have my piece of tape right below me. And what I do with it is I just take half of it, and like, let's say I had a table here, the ledge of a table, and I just go like that. So I just have half of it onto something, and then the other half just easy, so I could just get it and take it off. And then I just put it right back on, and I'm all set. That's how you do it. It does make them look nice. I actually want to show you an example of that because I actually came down here to Primetime Treasure headquarters to put together a little package of something that needs to ship out tomorrow. Just made a sale here, and this is not a comic book. These are two magazines. They're paper-based magazines from 1990. It's Shock Cinema #1 and Shock Cinema #2. It's very, very difficult to locate the first two issues of this series. I found them in an estate hall in Syracuse, New York, which is where I live, and that's coincidentally where this magazine was actually made. And what these magazines are essentially, at least the first two issues, is they review basically cult classic horror movies and monster movies, that sort of thing. So I actually sold both of these issues for $50, so great sale. And you can see here I just put them inside a magazine size bag and board. Now if I take it out of here, okay, well, let's say I want to remove it, same principle as before. Here's my tape on the back. I've got one piece. I also like having them in here because it helps to protect them during shipping, because I've got it in that nice bag and board. So I take it right out of here, and this is what it looks like when we remove it. Okay, now this is actually in excellent condition. Just to show you what it looks like inside of here, got all sorts of reviews of old, like I said, horror movies and monster movies, that sort of thing. And then just put it right in here like this. Take the piece of tape, seal this baby right back up. And there we go. It gives it a nice shine to it. Okay? And when I ship it, what I do is I face the covers inwards like this. See that? Because just in case when it is shipping and there's any kind of pressure that's exerted on the outside by either another package going on top of it or the mail carrier, I want to make sure if there's any kind of damage that happens to the front or the back, that that's being absorbed by the board, not the cover part facing outward. So I don't want to ship them like this inside the envelope that I eventually put in. Now this is going to also have extra protection because I am going to protect these with a nice strong layer of cardboard on the outside here and here. I basically sandwich them in between two strong pieces of cardboard, and then I protect it further with the envelope that I wind up sending it off in. And make sure you write "do not bend" on the outside. So, but I just wanted to show you that another good sale and another example of how to use these bags and boards for something other than comics. So I hope you found this video helpful and useful for you. If so, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, let other people know about it. Come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. Just had a giveaway tonight, which Dana Slate wound up winning a $50 lighting kit. So congratulations to you, Dana, if you're watching this video. That's awesome. And make sure you're following me on Instagram. That's actually where we did the live drawing for the winner. And that's at Primetime Treasure, but that's an underscore between each one. So prime_time_treasure. Hope to see you there. And thanks a lot for watching this video. There will be more comic book related videos coming up in the near future. See you, everyone.